Can you help us find him, please?
Ava DuVernay's A Wrinkle in Time opened on March 9th, but it was seen as a victory for diversity before it even landed in theatres. At a time when Hollywood is being criticised for its long-standing inability to be inclusive, DuVernay was the first female African-American filmmaker to be given a $100 million studio film to direct, and she cast a young African-American actress, Storm Reed, as the main character, who was white in Madeleine L'Engle's beloved book. In fact, the entire cast of the Disney event movie was proudly diverse, with Reed starring opposite Oprah Winfrey, Levi Miller, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, and Chris Pine. However, when it comes to the box office, A Wrinkle in Time, which opened to a disappointing $33.1 million domestically, didn't attract an audience that was dramatically more diverse than the audiences that showed up in recent years for other big-budget fantasy films adapted from well-known young adult or children's books like Steven Spielberg's The BFG and Tim Burton's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Both also struggled to reach blockbuster status. Of those buying tickets to A Wrinkle in Time on opening weekend, 56% were Caucasian, 20% were Hispanic, 17% were African American, 5% were Asian, and 3% were Native Americans or another nationality. The minority segments of Wrinkle's audience were only slightly higher than that for BFG's opening weekend. BFG, about a young girl and a big giant, drew an audience that was 52% Caucasian, 23% Hispanic, 14% African American, 9% Asian, and 3% Native American or another nationality. For Miss Peregrine, set in a school for kids with special magical abilities, the stats were relatively similar. 54% Caucasian, 19% Hispanic, 13% African American, 8% Asian, and 6% Native American or another nationality, according to ComScore. And all three films skewed female, with A Wrinkle in Time and Miss Peregrine's tying at 57% and the BFG coming in at 53% female. In short, they attracted younger girls and their mums, while boys and dads tended to stay away. According to ComScore analyst Paul Garabedian, fantasy adventures, even those with baked-in brand recognition via their book-based success, often have a very tough time finding an audience once they move to the big screen, as most are not sequel-based and don't fall easily into clearly defined categorization and are greeted with the same audience reticence as video game-based movies that also contend with similar challenges. A Wrinkle in Time, which Winfrey not only starred in but also promoted heavily in the weeks leading up to its opening, did score a bigger gross than either Miss Peregrine's or BFG. Spielberg's The BFG debuted to $22.7 million over the long July 4th weekend in 2016 against a $140 million budget. 2 months later, Burton's Miss Peregrine's likewise disappointed when launching to $28.9 million in North America after costing $110 million to produce. While some fans of the book loved A Wrinkle in Time, it appears to have been hampered by decidedly mixed reviews and a lukewarm B cinema score. In the end, Wrinkle opened in second place behind the fourth weekend of Disney and Marvel's history-making Black Panther, which collected $80.8 million. The superhero film, directed by Ryan Coogler, has now grossed more than $561 million domestically. As champions of both Coogler and DuVernay have pointed out, regardless of A Wrinkle in Time's box office numbers, it was the first weekend anyone can remember where two movies directed by African-American filmmakers took the number 1 and 2 spots. Says Disney distribution chief Dave Hollis, with both films, you can see that diverse voices matter. So, have you seen A Wrinkle in Time? Were you one of its fans or one of its critics? And what's your take on its box office performance? Let us know in the comments. For the Hollywood Reporter News, I'm Lindsay Rodriguez.